This is ITV. Certainly the best.
All right, many thanks for joining me once again. Still this morning on ITV, reaching you live on independent television from Benin City, Nigeria. A very big welcome to our viewers from across the country and the rest of the world. It's good to know you're still tuned in this morning on the program. Now, quickly, we head over to our next discussion. Like I told you, we'll be looking at secrecy in governance. How much should the people know? Now, it's no longer news. For Nigeria, there is the Freedom of Information Bill, which means everyone has access. Everyone should have access, actually, to facts and figures, to info, everyone should have knowledge of what's happening. If there is a project as regards construction of infrastructure, whether a road, whether a public building, whether a library, whether a hospital, or just maybe, salary of public servants. It should be a public thing. Everybody should have access to that kind of information. But it feels like it's just not exactly how it is. And so we're asking, how much should the people know? Especially, at this time when there are a whole lot of questions begging for answers. How much was expended on the health of the president? How much was expended as regards the trip totally, the private jet, the presidential jet actually, that had to stay in the UK for over 100 days. How much was spent on that and all of that? Plenty of questions begging for answers. And so we're just going to be looking generally, government from the federal to the state, the local government, secrecy in governance. Why do we have this? How much should the people know? Joining me to do justice to this is a legal practitioner, a one-time commissioner for higher education in Edo State, and just immediate past commissioner for energy and water resources, Barrister Washington Osifo. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm very well.
Been a while.
Good to have you back, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so quickly, secrecy in governance. You've been a part of government, so it's really interesting to have you here discuss this. Why do we have secrecy in governance? I'm sure you agree there is a whole lot of secret in governance.
Well, I think going by your question, why do we have secrecy in government? But thank God, as a writer, you also quickly asked, do I agree? Yes, I don't agree.
Okay.
Yeah, that there's secrecy in government, but I think in most cases it's a perception. It's a perception. Now let's take it this way. As a member of the State Executive Council for Edo State, as it then was, and I spent 3.5 years there.
Okay.
Our responsibilities there every week was to debate on good governance.
Okay.
How to deal with the issues confronting our people as a government. Of course, that was a trust given to us by the people who voted us into power. In line with that social agreement, every day we crack our brains and we come together as a family once a week in the State Executive Council. In that council, I want to tell you, with the governor as chairman in council, and commissioners as members, and also with other persons in attendance, there was never a day that it was said that whatever we are doing here is secret, to the extent that you cannot discuss it, especially when it concerns projects for the people, for the same reason that you are paid to do that job that you are doing, that you campaign, that you told them that you give them schools, you give them roads, you give them healthcare, pipe-borne water, and all of that, better welfare package, and all of that. Now, it is presumed, in most cases, that there's secrecy. But for me, I think there's no secret. Now, let me tell you the reason why there can never be secret. Yes, we belong to the same political party. I agree. Yes, we were appointed as members of the council, State Executive Council, at the mercy of Mr. Governor. I agree. But the gospel truth is that we have our different leanings outside politics, bounded by our beliefs, which could be by way of our home training, upbringing, bounded by our faith, which could be in God or in whatever we believe in, or even as a free thinker, bounded by nature.
Okay.
Now, or even above all, bounded by the fear of God and the principles that suggest that I cannot sell people to buy my future. Yes, there are also some, because it can never be the same.
Okay.
Who would believe the best way to get to the top is to get you down and off the road? Now, when you have an admixture of that body sitting down as leaders of the state, of the nation, of the local government to make policies as the case may be, it becomes very risky. It becomes very risky because everybody is at the mercy of the other person. It becomes very risky for you to give such command, either a chief executive of a state, of a nation, local government as the case may be, to say that whatever is done here with regards to this project, this secret in, what is this, what is even the secret?
Okay. So
That an amount is involved, or you did certain things that you ought not to have done, and you think that it can be secret in a council of 24 members, you must be, excuse me.
We're not saying within
No,
the
excuse me.
council.
No, I know. You see, when you talk about secrecy, especially in governance, the first, to be accused are those on the seat of power.
Okay.
And when I talk about the chief executive and his council members, of course, these are the key leaders of the state. So I know exactly. And when you also talk about that, it has something to do with the pecuniary values,
Okay.
and all of that. That is exactly what the people are about. For instance, when they say project, what is the value of this project? Now, the mere fact that that question has been asked, what is the value of this project? There is an undertone, okay, of something that they are trying to find out. Is it accurate? To use the language, is it padded? Does it allow for some?
Is the project on ground worth?
No. Is there anything to suggest that there's corruption? Somebody is trying to enrich himself and all of that through this? Now the question I'm asking, even in a small unit of family, is it possible for everybody to agree to do crime without taking some out? It's not.
Okay.
Because if you do not agree, if you agree to do crime, but at the point of sharing, you may disagree on the sharing formula. And once that, comes up, then the bubble will burst. Now, I also want to draw your attention to something. For you to know that there's always full disclosure. It is just that our people, we don't take advantage of those disclosures. Now, the irreducible minimum by a responsible government set out to create better life for the people in line with, again, the social contract entered into, is that when you award a contract, for instance, to build schools, to build roads, healthcare center, there is always a signpost there. The signpost, of course, will give you a vivid description.
Who's giving the project? Who's handling
The client, the contractor, the supervisor, the engineer,
the scope
and
of the project.
the scope of the project, and even the design. It's always there. And they don't just give the names, they also give the addresses. Whether in Benin, in Lagos, everywhere, the addresses are there. And what does that tell you? It gives you a leeway to know that these are the guys that we are dealing with, that are handling our resources, and this is exactly what they are supposed to do. Now, if you want to do a check further, for instance with the CAC, to even find out if these companies who they are awarded
really exist,
they do exist, whether they really exist. That is the foundation. That is where you start from. At least you have what to use. But do we really use it? We don't care. We don't bother. Okay. Now, only yesterday, in the Mambila power project, you see the Federal Executive Council had
Finally approved. Yeah.
no, it's not even a matter of finally approved. That is not the crux of the matter now. Now, what we are drawing from is that a figure was announced, just as it is always done.
Okay.
5.3 or so or more billion dollars for power project, Mambila power project. Okay. And I also listened to the Honorable Minister when he was dissecting, bit by bit of how it came to that. Now, but people will still ask, what is the secrecy? He has said it. If you now want to know, there are bureaus, there are ministries, there are agencies that are responsible. They are in charge of those vital, what you call fundamental information that you need for your keep. They are there, they are in public domain. As a matter of fact, Edo State has a portal. When contracts are awarded, they go there. They are announced, sometimes even by your station.
Sure.
The governor calls, or you are briefed. Sometimes when we go on inspection, it's our project, your project, my project. You are part of my team, and all of that. Okay. And at the end of the day, I tell you, this project is costing us XYZ. Some other persons, maybe for malicious reasons, who think that because you voted into power or appointed into power, then the governor is your slave, the president is your slave. Those who work, they do not have their own human rights, despite they have public rights. It is not true. It is not so correct that when you are occupying a public office, your right as a human being dies. No. The reason for you taking that office first is to ensure that you keep your human rights while pursuing, to also give value to the rights of others. If you cannot protect your human rights as a leader, you cannot necessarily protect the rights of others. That's just the truth, because you can't give what you don't have.
Okay.
Now, again, leadership is not about capacity. Leadership is not about capacity. It's about responsibility. And for those of us who have, given responsibilities to leaders to lead, all we need is to chastise them with love and let it not be, yes, we are free to criticize them, but in criticizing them, there must not be semblance that suggests that you are trying to, to take away their rights, as though you don't have value for the office. When you are coming to me as a member of the Fourth Estate of the realm, and I know as a psychologist and as a lawyer, very many of you came to my office then. Yes, I ran an open office and all of that. But I also noticed that some of them are coming not because they believe in the questions they are coming to ask. Some of them are coming as accusers of the brethren, to use what the Bible said, and all of that. Accusers of the brethren. They don't want to use the information for good. No. They are coming to maliciously obtain this information from you. Again, maybe for somebody who is a willing buyer, and all of that. And now, the opposition, when I'm in opposition, I am not talking about the opposition of today. Opposition will always be opposition, whether opposition of yesterday, opposition of today, or opposition of tomorrow. Okay. Any party can become opposition at any time. That is the beauty of democracy. Now, but if you are in opposition, you are a required tool to chastise the government in power with love. Your responsibility is to tell government in power another way or other ways to do things, okay, without necessarily condemning all that they are doing. Because I don't think that there's anybody who set out to go to government house, whether in Edo or in Abuja or anywhere, with the intention to fail the people. No, I don't think so. It's personal to me. This feeling is personal to me. Yeah. But I can't just imagine how somebody will just wake up. The next thing you want to do is to betray the trust given to you by the people. But I do think your intentions may be right, but the application wrong. Okay? Therefore, what is now the responsibility of the alternate government? You know, it is better to see opposition, it is better they see themselves as alternate government rather than, you know, opposition to pull down. Now, how do you say? If you say these are roads, yes, your responsibility as alternate government is to find out ways and means of doing it differently. Why also, that is the way you monitor the government in power.
Sure that it doesn't go wrong.
That is how you monitor government in power.
Okay.
Look for other ways of doing it, and you build your own library. And when you are now engaging government in power, while criticizing them, you must also be able to tell them how to do it better.
Okay.
Don't keep it until it gets to your time, because your time may never come. Then, but every time that is past. Therefore, give it to them and be part of it, and take the pride that we made you to succeed. If the people will appreciate you and bring you into power on the basis of your policies, on the basis of your appraisals, on the basis of your commendation and recommendation, and not too painful condemnation that would suggest that you are doing this in the overriding interest of the people, that will endear you to the heart of the people, if you must.
Okay.
But the truth is that because we are so crazy, the only reason we want to go to government house is to say that it is my party that won, not the value that you bring to governance. It is to line your pockets with the naira of the people, not to give back to the people what they have given to you, and all of that. That is the only thing. If that is the only thing, then that's misplacement of priorities. And that is where you see this suspicion coming from, oh, there's secrecy in governance and all of that and all of that. I mean, I don't believe it.
Let me quickly put this. There's been times when, I'm sure you would agree, or maybe not, but there's been times when a contract is awarded. In public, a figure is tagged to it. In the end, you're looking at the work on ground and the figure tagged to it, and they don't tally. And you're asking, okay, so let's see how much was expended on this job. And you don't hear nothing. You're not given answers. It feels like someone is trying to cover up stuff. These are the things we're trying to look at when we say secrecy in governance. A school is built somewhere. You're telling me the school, the budget for it was about ₦1 billion. And then I'm looking at that school and it's like it's not even worth half of that amount. And I'm saying, okay, so let me see the amount of money that was expended on this project, which I have a right to, because it's taxpayers' money. And someone is saying, come back tomorrow. We don't have it. This is how much that was used. This is what. But what we're looking at on ground doesn't tally.
Well, the beauty
wouldn't that mean secrecy in governance?
The beauty of democracy. I like democracy. God bless the inventors of democracy. But the truth is that the beauty of democracy is that it seems to give you uncontrolled access, and even uncontrolled speech, okay. Uncontrolled attack. And sometimes you think that it doesn't give me a reason or a right to also protect myself from those attacks. And again, the beauty of democracy, everybody is a professional.
Okay.
Everybody is an estate surveyor, to the extent an estate valuer, to the extent that, just like you rightly said, looking at the project, you can tell that this is not, it doesn't match the figure attached.
Yeah.
Now, if you are not a professional, for instance, you may be wrong in your assessment of projects.
Okay, what of when professional?
Let me also tell you. Do you know the reason why I continue to maintain? You have seen private projects.
Okay.
Okay. Have you seen these details in most of these private projects that we just talked about? Except private projects that has some public, affiliates. For instance, you are building your own house. You will never talk about the contractor you're giving it to publicly. You will never talk about
because the public is not interested.
The public is not interested. Now, it is the responsibility of the man you voted into power, the woman you voted into power, to give you these public details. it is your responsibility to work with those details that are so given to you, even in the signpost. It's a universal information.
It is also my responsibility to cross-check the details.
Oh, definitely, definitely. But let me also tell you that there are what we call variations.
Okay.
Yes. And these variations, they are, in most cases, as a result of price fluctuations. When the timeline for the life of the contract is affected, or something happens in between, economic issues happen in between that results to fluctuation as it is now, naira versus dollar, and the undulation is something that cannot be measured, then it affects the basis of the contract.
Okay.
And when it does, what you are going to say is that yes, when this contract was awarded last 3 months,
it was awarded for 1 billion naira.
It was awarded for 1 billion naira. Yes, you are quick to say so. But between last 3 months and now, what you are not saying is that when it was awarded for a bag of cement, perhaps, was sold for 50 naira, so to speak. But as of today, it's sold for 2,000 naira. For you, Gochuku, it doesn't matter. The contract must remain at 1 billion.
So don't you think this is all of this explanation is what government was supposed to put to the people? Because you owe them a responsibility, whether they ask or not, to give them updates as the project progresses.
Gochuku, there are 1,001 projects going on at the same time in several ministries in the state.
Okay, and every ministry has a public relations department.
Excuse me.
Okay.
And I tell you, if for the purpose of knowing, you find time to go to those ministries, as very many of you came to my ministries then, we didn't hide anything because we didn't have any reason to hide anything. We obliged you because it is your right to know. But like I said, some of you also came by way of malice. And we also know them. Now, if you are coming to my office again by way of malice, yes, you may be coming to extract. I have a duty. I owe you a duty to let you know. But I also owe the state and the good people of the state that I'm serving a duty to also recognize those who are after the government for malice. Yes. And to that extent, I must apply law and morality. Yes, I can fail in law, but I can never fail in morality when it comes to discussing with somebody that has come to steal government information.
Is there no avenue for prosecuting those kind of persons? Because every other person can
now,
suffer.
If there is an avenue for prosecuting such a person, I must not encourage that person to commit the offense by willingly, allowing, aiding that person to commit that offense, only to be prosecuted. That's not the essence of the law.
So how are you even able to judge who is getting info for malicious reasons?
Now, you see,
just by Facebook.
Yes. Ogochukwu, there is what they call investigative journalism.
Okay.
Now, the way you are brought up, I am not a journalist, but I want to imagine that logic is part of your training.
Very true.
And I also want to believe that you have some training of, as a philosopher, you are trained to have,
very true.
And if you put both together, by the content of what comes out from your mouth, if you lace it with your expression, it's only a matter of time. Your expression and your facial expression and what comes out of your mouth will reveal the content of your heart. Okay? Now, when you are sent or you are appointed to go to an office on behalf of another, like commissioners appointed on behalf of the governor, the first thing you do is to take charge of your office.
Okay.
Because you will always report. You are not in that office by yourself and on your own. You have a template to work with.
Okay.
And that template, you must know that these are irreducible minimum. The templates, they are irreducible minimum. It does not tie you stricto sensus to it. What it says is that you can do anything, but certainly not below this.
Okay.
Okay? then whatever you do above it is a plus. And in doing that, you must also try to, as you interact with people on a daily basis, try to know those you interact with.
Okay.
It is not everybody who comes to your office who is coming really to find out how you are doing and what you are doing well for Edo people. Some are there, you know, to mock you. Some are there to commend you. But such that you continue to be in charge and you are able to produce results, you try to see everybody coming to your office as coming for the good reason.
Okay.
But when you engage people and you know what you want from people, it's only a matter of time. 5 minutes will reveal what you have come to do. 5 minutes will reveal what you have come to do. And don't also forget, like I told you, we are in a very complex society. A society where the opposition would want to think that the best way to take government or to seize power, okay, is to pull down by force.
Okay.
To pick, you know, to take the rug off your feet, to watch you do the wrong thing, aid you to do it, and expose you later. I mean, the society suffers when you know that somebody is about to do wrong, and instead of stopping that person from doing the wrong, you encourage that person to do the wrong, and the society suffers only for you to say, yes, it is time to go. A wrong that is done is already done, and somebody has to suffer for it. And who suffers when it is done? It is the society. Those you pledge to serve in truth, in loyalty, and all of that, they suffer. Then what is the other government coming to do if at all God allows you to come?
Okay. Just
you are only coming to right that wrong, which sometimes can never be made right.
I agree. Just quickly, before we take a break for the news right now, let's look at information management in Nigeria as we have it right now, and information management in other climes, the US, where we borrow a pattern of democracy from, the UK that colonized us. Let's look at the pattern of information management. These other places, virtually everything is in public domain. You have access. If there is a change, if there is a switch, you have access to facts and figures and reasons why you have that switch. But it feels like it's totally different down here. It feels like you mentioned, you know, because you think the opposition is trying to pull you down, and so you're trying to keep a whole lot from getting into their hands to use as a tool to pull you down.
Now let me ask you a question. You see, I don't always agree when people say the British, the United States. Yes, these are good models, but they are not superhumans.
Nobody said they were.
No, the ordinary people, they do things in extraordinary ways. Do you understand? But it is not true that they don't have their own challenges when it comes to, you know,
information management.
Information management. Let me tell you.
But compared to what we have here, that's what I'm saying.
Excuse me. There are no two brothers that can ever be the same. Okay?
Okay.
We do things our own way. They do things their own way. There are certain things about us that they admire, just as there are also certain things about them who admire. So I don't always fall cheap to those models and all of that. But it does not mean that we should not do things the proper way. Okay? Now, let me ask you a question. This is the first time in the United States of America where leaders become leaders. For instance, the president of the country without declaring a tax. As we speak, that tax still not is yet to be disclosed. What did America do about it? Nothing. Nothing. It didn't stop him from.
Oh, they're still battling the issues, but let's.
No. I'm just trying to tell you.
You would continue with this. Let's just take a short pause for the news. The AM News update comes your way shortly. Wilson Amasho is standing by for that one already. This discussion continues just immediately after the news update. So stay tuned. For the AM News updates. Thanks guys for staying tuned to the show this morning. Now quickly, let's wrap up. Just before the break, we're looking at a comparison between information management in Nigeria and, you know, what you have in other climes like the US, the UK, Germany, Canada, you know, the rest of them. And Barrister Washington Osifa was doing justice to that. So let's continue from where you stopped.
Yes, what I was trying to posit is that there is no society, no country that is error-proof. What you know is a function of how you try to know it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the difference between what we do here and what they do over there is that whereas government will naturally embark on awarding contracts, designing its policies and programs and all of that, they post them to their website. They don't use the normal town crier approach on daily basis to say this is what we have done today and all of that. They have government media, they have private media like yours and all of that doing the job, just exactly the way it is here. But for those who are also who want further details, they go to the line ministries, they go to line departments and agencies to source of those information if they need it, or the website and all of that. If you, for instance, go to the website of Edo here, this information you're talking about, they are there. Sometimes we buy books, we don't read them.
Okay.
Yes, that is the problem. Even the books we buy, we see them, they hawk them, we just like the color, we like the title. Okay, we get them, we use it to line our shelves, but at the end of the day, the information in the book, we don't read them. We don't read them and all of that. So it is not always the fault of government that you do not avail yourself with information that is there in the public domain. Okay? It is for you to go to the line ministries. And I continue to maintain, there is no governor. I want to believe, because I have been there, there is no governor, there is no president, there is no leader in authority that will deliberately sink it in the minds of those working with him, okay, or her, as the case may be, to say that you are going to be disciplined for giving public information that are supposed to be public. Information that are public are contractual information. They are public.
Okay.
The buildings are seen, they are growing. They don't grow on their own. The roads are there, they are being built. Hospital, water, pipeline, and all of that. And in any case, the day they were awarded, we told the whole world, okay, that this was. It is now for the commissioner, the permanent secretaries, those in the respective MDAs, to follow up with information management with the public and all of that. And except you go to them to find out what they are doing, because they may be too busy with state responsibilities. Their responsibilities, the assignment you, the people, gave to them. To the extent that if you don't go to them,
well, like I asked before, every ministry, every department, every agency of government has a public relations unit. So would this public relations unit be too busy to give information to the public that they're supposed to be serving? I mean, it's called public relations.
Now you see, I guess I always like practicalizing things. This is a corporation, an establishment.
Okay.
If I am coming here as an outsider to source for information, your public relations will not just give out any information on the basis of my presence or even of my application. Okay?
Okay.
It has to follow due process to get to the highest authority in this organization. Okay? To now say release.
Okay.
All right? You process it. But there are certain information that are just there. They are at the fingertips of the public relations officer.
Okay.
To the extent that when you come, we said, okay, fine, this is it, you have it. The leaflets, sometimes they are there. But if there are critical ones with further better details that requires the approval of those in authority in the ministry, departments, or agencies, as the case may be, it goes through that process. But again, I think for what I know, the commissioners are always there. Whether public or no public relations department or no public relations department, I find it very, very inconveniencing. And again, sometimes too lousy. For instance, for those who are supposed to be in charge of their ministries, to at all time refer you to public relations officer to hear from them. No. The reason why you are there as a commissioner, you are there not as an alternate governor. There is one governor in a state.
Okay.
You are there at the mercy of the governor. You are there to be his eyes, his ears, and do exactly what will bring value to governance, value-driven governance. And what that means is that the first responsibility is to to run an open door policy. And running an open door policy will mean, without taking over the job of your subordinate, will mean that you must meet with the public. Okay? You don't, when you shut yourself out as the first, as the number one in the ministry, you are shutting down the eyes of the governor. So make yourself available. Discuss with the people. They will give you insights sometimes into what you intend to do. From them, you learn some of these things and you add it up and you add value to governance. So if they are coming, these guys you are talking about public relations and all of that. You see, their stake in governance may not be exactly the same stake that you carry as a leader.
Okay.
The leader must at all times be willing to give more than 100%. That's exactly what it is. So if you know that as a leader, I will give any information regarding public services to the public, my public relations department will not do anything contrary.
Okay.
Because I will not shut you out. I will let you know. We are building schools, yes. For what value? We heard that you people awarded, this government awarded this school for XYZ. Oh yes, we did. For what value? I will give it to you because we have given it out before. What is the position now? Okay, it's 80% done, 75% done and all of that. You know, what are the issues? We heard that there are variations arising from price escalation and fluctuation. Oh yes, this is what we have done and this is what it is now. Okay. You know, I mean, there's not the public and there's not the secret and all of that. So for me, like I said in my opening remarks, they are just perception arising from the kind of politics we play. Okay, politics of dirtiness and politics of this crab syndrome and here and there and here and there. And on top of these discussions must always be, I do not believe, and I'll continue to maintain, I do not believe there is any leader anywhere in this world, this is my view,
okay, that
will set out to go and canvass for votes from the people. And the people will trust you with their votes and help you to get to power. And at the end of the day, you want to pay them with ingratitude, you know, by shutting down their social life and all of that. I don't believe it is deliberate.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
You have the intention to do it right. You may be doing it wrong. What is required is to help you to succeed. And in doing that, we must all as a people, once a government is formed, we de-emphasize party.
Okay.
We de-emphasize party, and those in the authority of governance take everybody and they see everybody as one. When they see you as one, you must also accept the government of the day as the leader of the state or of the nation, as the case may be.
All right,
and help them to succeed.
I'm going to say thank you very much, just because of time, because I've run out of time already. But thanks a whole lot for your time this morning with us on TNI. All right, thanks a whole lot, viewers. Also, we've got to wrap it up here, but definitely there are channels. All right, we understand some governments, some state governments, especially within Nigeria, are doing a whole lot to put information out there. But then to the others, I mean, it's the 21st century. The age of the internet. Why not make good use of the opportunity and save people a whole lot of stress? Information is power. People need information. People want to know, especially when you are elected. You're representing the people. They want to know and they want to have accounts of what you do. Put it out there. Thanks a whole lot for being a part of the discussion this morning. On behalf of the crew right here in the studio, my name is Ugochukwu Bamidele. Till I come your way next week, enjoy the long weekend ahead and happy Eid al-Kabir in advance.